happy learning to all of us. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are going to talk about this very important topic called planning and organizing. But before that, we all know that we are trained to do certain activities with a certain intent, with a certain state of mind, and we do that action. However, wouldn't it be excellent if the result of the activity that we do give us 10x returns, multiplied returns? Many of you may be aware of this compound interest, right? So if you, let's say, put a sum of maybe 1,000 rupees today at a compounded interest, what happens is from year 2 onwards, the interest will start earning interest. And the third year, the interest plus interest plus interest will start earning interest, and so on and so forth. So by the end of the 10th year, the amount that you are able to get back is much larger than the amount that you are putting in. Now, we have known this compounding in terms of money for a long time, which is why we have a whole lot of recurring deposit schemes, etc., which are very popular. But wouldn't it be great if we are able to get the same kind of compounding even for the efforts that we put in? Even in terms of the efforts that we put in, can we get a cascading multiplied result rather than result is equal to effort? That is what the multiplier mindset focuses on. When we talk about multiplier mindset, we are essentially, particularly, I know that many of you may also be team leaders or very senior people in the organization, and your output or result is not just going to depend on your efforts. It's also dependent on all of the other people who work with you, your team or your organization. And therefore, today it is very well understood that as compared to being a genius, if we can become a genius maker using this concept of compounding, we will be able to get much larger results than otherwise. And in order to be a multiplier, there are a few things that we need to develop in ourselves as a mindset. The first one in that is what we call a talent magnet. Talent magnet, as the name suggests, are people who are able to attract very good people into their team or the organization. So they have created or generated the desire in people to work with them, and talent magnets attract talented people and then use them at their highest point of contribution. Many of the successful people who have reached C-level will vouch that it is not just their effort that brought them there, but their ability to put together great teams that created fantastic results, and they benefited from the efforts of the team. So one of the multiplier mindset aspects that we need to look at is, can we become a talent magnet? It's not just enough to attract talented people into our team. We also need to liberate them. What do we mean by liberate? Create psychological space to promote their thinking and work. We can't get very talented people into the team and then tell them exactly what to do. We can't provide micromanaging inputs to those people and expect them to create fantastic results. So the ability to provide a liberated work environment and the ability to think for themselves is something that as a leader we need to do. There are, of course, certain problems associated with this, because sometimes certain of the actions that are being done by your team members may put you in a spot, but it's worth it, because the payout you get out of their efforts will far outstrip any occasional problems that may be there, because you are not actually dictating exactly what they need to do. The third element of multiplier mindset is the challenge. Are you able to provide or define opportunities for your team that causes people to stretch and grow? If you constantly give them targets that are achievable, or if you constantly give them activities that you think is within their capability, then you are not throwing a challenge to them. So invariably, every time, whenever tasks are being discussed or when plans are being discussed, is there a stretch element that you are able to build in, where people feel that, hey, it's not a cakewalk. It's not going to be a left-hand game for me to achieve this. I have to put in some extra efforts, but it's not unachievable as well. The fourth element is invest in the people that you have attracted, give people the ownership for the results, and invest in their success. Send them to the right kind of training programs, give them the opportunity to be mentored by good people, give them the opportunity to get a coach. These are the things that we do in terms of building up their skills so that progressively the output that you can get from people will be compounded. So that's the invest component. And then we have the propel component. When you have many stars working together, there is a certain capability that is required to make these stars work together. For instance, in US, when you have, let's say, a basketball team, or when you have a baseball team, the coach is a very crucial person for the team. Not because he's a better player than any of the players. All the players are star players. However, to make them all play to a plan and to make sure that there is very seamless coordination among the people who play, the coach's role becomes extremely crucial. So as a multiplier mindset leader, we build collective intelligence, enable people to work with each other without allowing their egos or their personal kind of issues to come in the middle. And that itself takes a tremendous amount of skill and effort. Now, this whole thing, multiplier mindset, is something which is work of Liz Wiseman. And I've given that as a part of the resources that you can refer to in detail, but this is a very interesting subject. And these are the people who really are able to get 10x returns, 20x returns for the same level of efforts. And it's very important, particularly if we have to be focused on getting what we want done with least of efforts, or in other words, become strategically more effective than just staying operationally efficient. Now, Liz Wiseman also talks about the 3x5 multiplier matrix. We are not going to go deep into all of these aspects. That is part of what we do as part of phase 2. Because as you can see, this is a very deep kind of a thing, and it takes a long time. And within the time that we have today, I can't cover all of these aspects. But there are 5 myths that we need to understand. There are 5 choices and permissions, and there are 5 lifestyle habits. I'm going to cover 2 of them, the ones in red, the macro patience, micro speed, and doing deep work. What exactly we mean by doing deep work. Macro patience and micro speed is a concept that has been promoted by this person by name Gary Vaynerchuk. And he says that when you look at intent, state, and action, as far as the intent is concerned, we need to have a lot of patience. Because these things don't happen immediately. We can't lose heart about the fact that, hey, I put this effort today and tomorrow there's no result. You need to have a lot more patience from an intent perspective, particularly when we talk about leadership changes or behavioral changes or behavioral transformation, like the question Malini asked, that if we have a natural tendency to be a certain personality type, can I change? Yes, we can, but it can't be overnight. There has to be an intent to say, yes, I want to change. And secondly, the patience that goes along with to make sure that that long-term objective is met. So getting long-term objectives that are aligned with what you value and want to achieve in life, and understanding that those take time. However, the beauty in this whole concept is that Gary says, patience doesn't mean sitting quietly and saying, okay, things will happen and therefore I don't have to do anything. As far as the state of mind is concerned and the actions are concerned, Gary says we should have micro speed, the ability to get things done quickly and efficiently so that we maximize the productivity throughout a given day. Be in a state of mind where you're able to do things in the most effective fashion. Take actions that really are very efficient from giving you the results. So that fine distinction that he makes between what part of our overall, the effort needs to have patience, the intent needs to have patience, the state and the actions need to have speed. So this is a beautiful concept. Again, a lot more on this is covered in our detailed sessions, but I just wanted to introduce this to you. And the last thing I want to introduce to you is Cal Newport's work on deep work. Some of you may already be familiar with this concept of deep work. Some of you have read some material on this, or some of you may have seen some videos on this. Cal Newport has done brilliant work. He says that most of the activities that we do, like responding to a telephone call or sending an email, are things that doesn't need really deep thinking. Those are things that we do from a very superficial kind of a level, and he calls them shallow work. Shallow as an opposite of deep. Shallow work. So he says, if most of your activities for the day are in shallow waters and you're doing shallow work, then you can't expect phenomenal transformation in what you do. But when you learn how to do deep work, then you are able to create that multiple returns that we talked about at the multiplier mindset. So he also gives 5 principles for deep work. We won't go into details of this: minimalize, declutter, organize, focus, and unplug. But what I am doing is I am giving you a link which gives you 10 beautiful tools that you can use if you want to do deep work. So I would recommend that you look at a video on YouTube on what deep work is all about, Cal Newport, and I'm sure you will get convinced about the need to do deep work. And once you decide to do that, how do you really become a person who can do deep work? These tools will help you to get in and track yourself as you become more of a deep worker than a shallow worker. Yeah. So in summary, before we move to question and answers, we talked about Acracia, which is the set of activities. We know it's not something that we should be doing, but still we end up doing. There are some activities that we should be doing, but we are not really doing. So knowing is not equal to results. Actually doing the right kind of thing through the right zoning, not just at activity level, but within each activity, if you're able to decide what is that winning zone in which you should operate, whether it is reading a newspaper. For example, reading a newspaper, is it important and urgent, or is it important and not urgent? If any of you say important and not urgent, I am asking you to read today's newspaper three months later or 2 weeks later. Irrelevant, right? So there are certain things that unless it is done today, it is not relevant. So we need to really understand right zoning from that perspective. There are certain activities that need that level of urgency, but make sure that by and large you live in that space of what Stephen Covey says is the winning zone that you should operate from time quadrant perspective. We talked about effectiveness and efficiency. We talked about efficiency being more of an operational way of looking at things. How do you get things done using less resources and doing what is expected with the maximum efficiency, and effectiveness being something which is strategic kind of nature, doing the things that really are required to be done, even if it takes a little more time, even if it calls for a little extra resources. The result that you get matches the strategic objective that you start with. So that's a combination that we need to understand, the effectiveness and efficiency, and remember doing the right things right. Then we talked about result orientation, the intent, state, and action. And we also said intent is something on which we should have patience, because results will take a little bit of time to come through. We talk about behavioral changes. We talk about transformation. However, patience does not extend to the state of mind that you're going to be in or the actions that you take. Those have to be done at micro speed. Then we talked about the multiplier mindset. Of course, we didn't go too detailed into this, but I introduced to you the 5 myths, the 5 choices, the 5 lifestyle habits, and that is the overall scope of what we covered today. I want to give you a few reinforcers. The matrix maximizer is something that helps a lot in terms of your effectiveness in managing time and deciding which activities, the Pareto principle, in terms of deciding how exactly you can find that 20% that gives you the maximum returns as compared to wasting your time on the other 80%. Multiplier talks about how with the same unit of effort, you can get 10x or 20x returns. And deep work by Cal Newport, as I said, focuses on doing deep work rather than shallow work. So these are 3 reference books that I would recommend to you. And the 2 URLs that you see below are our bonus to you. You know your own time management style. When you chose among the time management styles, personality styles, you did it with your own impression about what you are, right? But if you really want to find out whether that matches what you truly are, you can take this online test. The basic test is free. You get a report free. But if you want a very detailed kind of analysis, there is a small payment that is involved. That's your option, whether you want to do the extensive stuff or not, but at least do the basic, which is free. And again, there is this free tool set for deep work. The URL is provided here. You can take a look at it. It's something that really gives you the transformation to knowing how to do deep work. All great things happen when people learn to do deep work. Yeah. I'm also going to give you a sneak peek into the next drive in terms of what more we'll be covering. I said that 5 myths we'll be covering. Very important to understand this. I'll take one example. For example, equal balance at all times. We all know that we have spiritual goals, we have career goals, we have family goals, we have financial goals, we have health goals, personal growth, recreation goals, and so on and so forth. And if you have a limited amount of time, everybody has 24 hours in a day, right? How do we really distribute across all of these to make sure that we are leading a fulfilling life? Is it sparing equal time for each of these? Is that the right approach? Or will you get better results doing something else? That's what is covered as a part of breaking this particular myth is concerned. Very, very crucial for every one of us, whether we are a C-level executive or a person starting a career or an entrepreneur. This is something that is extremely crucial, right? Similarly, we'll talk about, time management and multitasking and being productive. All of these elements will be covered in much greater depth. Though we may have heard of many of these words earlier, we have probably just heard it and we are giving a shallow interpretation to it. But if you want to give a deep interpretation to it, then we need to really go really deep by using resources that I talked about already. Similarly, 5 choices and permissions. This is a very interesting thing which talks about the multiplier thought funnel. How does a multiplier mindset person think? So this person by name Rory Warden has written a book called Procrastinate on Purpose. Procrastinate on purpose. Normally we associate procrastination with a lazy habit. Putting off things, saying I'll do it later. But Rory gives a completely different perspective to this. He says how even procrastination can be used effectively if you use it on purpose. So there is this choice funnel or the thought funnel that we will cover it deep in the next round when you register for this, which talks about the 5 permissions that you have to give yourselves and the 5 choices that you make if you really have to be much more effective in terms of being result oriented. We will also talk about the lifestyle habits. Some of them are known to us like discipline through daily habits, but we know that we have to develop these habits. Every 1st of January, we set resolutions, but we all know that resolutions don't last for more than 10 to 15 days. It's a waste of time, even spending the time on making the resolution if it's not going to last, right? So how do we build a certain discipline? How do we use journalizing and prioritizing? We talked briefly about macro patience, micro speed, and we talked briefly about focus on deep work. And how do we adapt to unplanned changes? How can we be flexible yet organized? So these are some of the things that we cover in detail in the next session. And now Sita will disclose her secret offer that is there for all of you. Sita.
Thank you, Padma. So now Padma spoke about, again, going back to the state and intent and all those things. We all need to be continuously in touch with our developmental needs, of course, and we all know that we have to do it. We all want to do it, but I think somewhere we have challenge in terms of how do we do it. And one of the key ways to ensure that you connect with that is for us to bring to you a platform which you can use to start doing your planning and activities. So you get a complimentary access to the UXLerate platform. Remember, I mentioned about the platform in one of the slides where we mentioned that you can do everything starting from connecting with the coach to scheduling the appointment to having the live sessions to having your goals and tasks written there, everything available at one place for you to continuously refer to them and update. Yeah, so you get access, complimentary access to UXLerate platform for 24 weeks. Then you get to connect with Padma for one-to-one discovery session. Now, what is discovery session? remember Padma mentioned in the peak preview that he gave in, that there are multiple things that can help you get better, but each has their own need and their own personality and their own persona. So based on what will work better for you is what they try to understand. Any coach would try to understand during the discovery session to see what exactly do you need and how they can help you with that. So you get that call with Padma for a one-to-one discussion. And of course, last but not the least, it's a certificate world, and we definitely want to be aware of the things we've completed. And we, as You Accelerate, want to encourage and appreciate the fact that you have invested so much time and effort in your learning. So anyone who completes one particular track, every track, remember, covers 4 skill areas and 8 topics, right? If you complete one particular section, so we have 3 tracks: leading self, leading the team, and leading organization. If you complete one section or one track out of the 3, or all the 3, or 2 of them, you will get certificate of completion or participation at the end of that particular track. So these are things that we bring to you to ensure that you stay invested in your learning, you stay connected on and committed to upskilling yourself and bring out the best in you.
We can